We now have a much clearer account of what the FBI seized from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Palm Beach, Florida, after a federal judge unsealed a more detailed inventory list of items on Friday. In addition to the troves of information marked top secret, secret, and classified, the FBI search turned up more than 40 empty folders with classified banners on them. But it's unclear what happened to the information that had been inside those folders. They also found almost 4 dozen empty folders marked Return to Staff Secretary, Military Aid. The search turned up more than 11,000 U.S. government documents and photographs without classification markings. They were found mixed in with classified material in boxes and containers in Trump's office and a storage room. It's important to note, 7 documents marked top secret were found in Trump's office, as well as 17 documents marked secret and 3 that were marked confidential. That's significant because Trump's attorneys told investigators that all the records that came from the White House were being kept in a Mar-a-Lago storage room, which agents had asked be kept secure. That's according to the government's court filings. A spokesman for Trump issued a statement on Twitter about the expanded inventory list, saying, quote, "The new detailed inventory list only further proves that this unprecedented and unnecessary raid of President Trump's home was not some surgical, confined search and retrieval that the Biden administration claims. It was a smash and grab. These document disputes should be resolved under the Presidential Records Act, which requires cooperation and negotiation by the National Archives and Records Administration, not an armed FBI raid." Trump held his first rally since the FBI search of his home this weekend. He campaigned in Pennsylvania Saturday and, unsurprisingly, used much of his speech to attack the FBI and his political opponents. He also claimed there would be, quote, backlash, which, given Trump's history, could be interpreted as a warning of violence.
The FBI and the Justice Department have become vicious monsters, controlled by radical left scoundrels, lawyers, and the media who tell them what to do, you people right there, and when to do it. They're trying to silence me, and more importantly, they are trying to silence you, but we will not be silenced, right? Very dishonest, sick people. Very dishonest people. Americans are sick of the lies, sick of the hoaxes and scams, and above all, sick of the hypocrisy. But our opponents have badly miscalculated. This egregious abuse of the law is going to produce a backlash, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before.
A warning of violence, or perhaps an incitement to violence? Joining us now to talk about this is former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance. She's an MSNBC legal analyst and national political reporter for The Washington Post, Michael Schur. Thanks, guys, for being with us on this holiday. Joyce, let's start with you. We now have a more detailed inventory of what the FBI seized from Mar-a-Lago last month. You've looked through it. What stands out most to you?
So what stands out, Jonathan, is that when DOJ evaluates whether to prosecute cases that involve mishandling of classified materials, they're always looking for a plus factor. It's typically more than just straight up mishandling. And the inventory provides further evidence for this litany that you've done a great job of reciting of everything that the president did. There are massive quantities of documents. This isn't just 2 or 3 items. And most troubling here, in addition to the notion that there was obstruction, that there was a very willful effort to prevent the government from reclaiming classified materials, we now see that in addition to mishandling, we have items missing from folders, items that are intermingled with non-classified material, which of course amps up the risk that it could somehow spoil out into the public or into other hands. And so we see increasing indicia that this information that is very sensitive, some of it top secret, information that if it were to be released in an unauthorized fashion could do grave damage to the national security, that it was handled in a cavalier fashion across literally hundreds of pages of documents. And, you know, you don't like as a prosecutor to evaluate whether you're going to take a case before you've looked at all of the evidence, including evidence that's favorable to a defendant. But simply looking at this evidence, the massive body that's now public, let alone what DOJ has that's private, it becomes increasingly clear that this is the type of case that DOJ will consider very seriously for prosecution.
So, Michael, we just played a little bit from the former president's rally over the weekend in Pennsylvania. It was a big crowd and loud when he condemned the FBI's search of Mar-a-Lago. We've heard him do this before. Most of his, frankly, rallies are about his own personal grievances and very little about the candidates there he's essentially there to support. What struck out to you here? How much of a tinderbox is this right now?
I mean, in that crowd, it's quite a tinderbox. There wasn't really a person in that whole arena who didn't have some sort of Trump paraphernalia on, who wasn't there for him, despite the presence of the other candidates. I think, you know, we will see going forward what effect this has in the midterms. There's an odd moment now where both President Biden and former President Trump basically have the same message, which is, let's talk about President Trump. And the president is hoping that this peels off some Republican voters from the former president. And the former president is hoping to bring home Republican voters to candidates like Mehmet Oz, who just haven't yet solidified the Republican base in places like Pennsylvania. And so, you know, we just don't know where it'll go next.
Yeah, White House aides have told me over the weekend they think that any day the conversation is about Trump is a good day for them because of how toxic and polarizing he is right now with the midterms looming. And on that note...